Okay, welcome. SAT practice test number 5. So the new tests have a little bit of like a change in the things that we should be looking for. So I'll kind of intro that first and then we'll get started with the questions. Module 101, meaning first video for Module 1. Okay, so update. The vocab for practice test number 5 and 6 are a little bit harder to find the hints. So maybe in the first 4 tests there would be an almost direct definition or a really clear hint. Now it's going to be a little bit harder to find. The other one would be for the notes question. So like the last 3 or 4 questions. I used to say that you read the requirements first, so the question first. Then we'll eliminate the answer choices. And most of the time, you don't need to check the data. And that was true for the first 4 tests. But now I did see a couple of questions that require us to choose between the two the leftover answer choices by actually checking the notes. The only way that you can determine between B and C, for example, was by looking at the notes. So that's a little bit new for the new practice tests. So keep these 2 facts in mind, and we will go on to number 1. Okay. Number 1. The following text is from 1913 story, The King's Coin, a Canhagen writer, also known as T. Foxfoot, a young Ojibwe man is guiding a group of fur traders who are traveling by canoe and suspects that they are being followed. Okay, so they are being followed or suspects. So at summertime, Foxfoot would allow no fire to be built, no landing to be made, no trace of their passing to be left. They ate canned meat and marmalade, drank again of the stream, and pushed on until just at dusk they reached the edge of the long, still lake with shores of granite and dense fir forest. According to the text, what does the word trace most nearly mean? So, trace of their passing to be left, whether it's evidence, blemish, amount, or sketch, there's not going to be a direct answer or a direct hint in the passage. Instead, we have to contextually understand what would be the best answer. So it says, to be left. Can evidence be left? Definitely. Can a blemish be left? Sure. Amount or sketch would not be correct contextually, for sure. And now, understanding that these people, they suspect that they are being followed, it makes sense that they would want to make sure that no evidence of their having been there is left over. So it's going to be A. Blemish would be kind of contextually irrelevant. So the answer is A. We are going to now have to better understand the vocab passages as opposed to just looking for the hint, like we've been doing before. So, moving on to number 2. Many ancient sculptures of people's heads are missing their noses. This is because the nose is the most blank part of a sculpture of a person's head. It is delicate and sticks out from the rest of the sculpture, making it especially easy to break. Okay, so this is kind of a return to the first 4 practice tests. Delicate, making it especially easy to break, direct hint for fragile. All right, so this is what we're used to. Recognizable, common, and sophisticated are just unnecessary, or rather irrelevant to this. The nose is the most fragile part. Why? It is delicate and sticks out, making it especially easy to break. So, just really quick, if we were to ignore the hint, so let's say we ignored all of this guy, right? Then recognizable, sophisticated, surely those words, common is kind of crazy, but recognizable and sophisticated would fit, right? This is because, or maybe the nose is the most recognizable part of a sculpture. The nose is the most sophisticated part of a sculpture, maybe, right? That's why it's very important to be looking for a hint within the passage. And if there isn't one, you need to make the closest logical conclusion. Okay, next question, number 3. KD and colleagues found that the sun's corona provides an advance indication of solar flares. Intense eruptions of electromagnetic radiation that emanate from active regions in the sun's photosphere and can interfere with telecommunications on Earth. Preceding a flare, the corona temporarily exhibits increased brightness above the region where the flare is blank. Okay, so before a flare, the corona temporarily exhibits an increased brightness above the region where the flare. So how does that make sense? There is no hint that tells me which one the answer is. Antecedent means before, impending means imminent, about to happen, C, innocuous, D, perpetual, never ending, right? Harmless, never ending. Preceding a flare means before a flare. However, we don't have any other hint. Preceding a flare, the corona temporarily exhibits increased brightness above the region where the flare is antecedent. That doesn't make any sense. So the closest answer choice that we would generally have used in the past is actually incorrect contextually. The only thing that would make sense is because this is before a flare, it's increasing brightness above the region where the flare is about to happen, about to occur. Our answer is impending, imminent. So innocuous, harmless, perpetual, never-ending, those two are both irrelevant to our passage. So our answer is impending, imminent, like that. So we do need to understand the passage much better than we did in the first 4 tests. Number 4, to demonstrate that the integrity of underground metal pipes can be assessed without unearthing the pipes, engineer and colleagues blank the tendency of some metals' internal magnetic fields to alter under stress. The team showed that such alterations can be measured from a distance and can reveal concentrations of stress in the pipes. Hypothesized, discounted, redefined, and exploited. We're going to try to demonstrate the integrity of the underground metals without unearthing the pipes. So let's write that. Integrity of pipes without digging them up. Engineer and colleagues hypothesize the tendency. So can you hypothesize a tendency? Are they discounting it? Are they redefining it? Or are they exploiting it? It says the metals, some of the metals, internal magnetic fields to alter under stress, and the team showed that such alterations can be measured from a distance and can reveal concentrations of stress in the pipes. So our answer is actually going to be exploited. They used the tendency of some metals to alter under stress. And that's how they were able to show that those alterations can be measured from a distance without unearthing the pipes. The other ones do not make sense, so you cannot hypothesize the tendency and then thus show. Discounted, redefined are just irrelevant. Our answer is D. Okay. Number 5. Despite the generalizations about human behavior they have produced, many studies of behavioral psychology have used highly underrepresented subject pools. Students at the colleges and universities where the researchers are employed. To blank the situation, it is necessary to actively recruit subjects from diverse backgrounds and locations. So, behavioral psychology used highly underrepresented. Let's just write highly underrepresented. Okay. To blank the situation, so this is what, like fix would be the best answer. To fix the situation, it is necessary to actively recruit subjects from diverse backgrounds. So this would be the opposite of what they're saying. To fix this highly underrepresented population, we're going to find people from diverse backgrounds and locations. So sanction means authorize or impose a penalty on. Ameliorate means to remedy or improve. Rationalize, explain, or justify. Postulate is suggest a theory. So to fix would be the closest to ameliorate. To ameliorate the situation, it is necessary to actively recruit subjects from diverse backgrounds and locations. That is our answer. Number 6. The following text is adapted from Jean Webster's 1912 novel Daddy Longlegs. The narrator is a young college student writing letters detailing her weekly experiences. The college is organizing the freshman basketball team, and there's just a chance that I shall make it. I'm little, of course, but terribly quick and wiry and tough. While the others are hopping about in the air, I can dodge under their feet and grab the ball. So, might make it to the basketball team. Narrator's little, but quick. Tough. Like that. I can dodge under their feet. I can dodge and grab the ball. Like that. Let's take a look at the question. We're looking for the main purpose of the text. So A, to compare basketball with other sports. B, to provide details of how to play basketball. C, to state how players will be chosen for the basketball team. And D, to explain why the narrator thinks she might make the basketball team. So do they mention other sports? No. Are there details about how to play basketball? No. To state how players? No, we only know one person, first of all. And also, it's just saying, I might make it to the team. It's not showing how they're going to be chosen. So C is incorrect. To explain why the narrator thinks she might make the basketball team? Sure, because it says, little but quick, she can dodge and grab the ball. That is our answer. Number 7. In the late 1800s, Spanish language newspapers flourished in cities across Texas. San Antonio alone produced 11 newspapers in Spanish between 1890 and 1900, but El Paso surpassed all other cities in the state. This city produced 22 newspapers in Spanish during that period. El Paso is located on the border with Mexico and has always had a large population of Spanish speakers. Thus, it is unsurprising that this city became such a rich site for Spanish language journalism. But El Paso has surpassed surpassed all other cities. As in, newspapers, let's say Spanish newspapers. Like that. Okay, and then, unsurprising, okay. Why? It was because El Paso located on border, large Spanish speaking population. There. Okay. Which choice best states the main purpose? For A, we're going to look for compare Spanish language newspapers published in Texas today with the ones published there during the late 1800s. B, it's going to be thrived in Texas and especially in El Paso to explain. C, to argue that Spanish language newspapers published in El Paso influenced the ones published. Do we know that it was the one influencing the ones that were published later on? And D, to explain why Spanish language newspapers published in Texas were so popular. Can we know that they were popular in Mexico during the late 1800s? Okay, so for A, to compare Spanish language newspapers published in Texas today with the ones published there is irrelevant. What we're trying to show is that El Paso is located on the border, border Mexico, so it has a large Spanish population. It is unsurprising thus that it was the hub of these Spanish newspapers, so we can delete A. To explain that Spanish language newspapers thrived in Texas and especially in El Paso during the late 1800s is our maybe. C, to argue that it was influencing the ones published is no, we can't know that. Can't know. And D, to explain why they were so popular, another can't know. Can't know, can't know, our answer is B. The reason why Spanish language newspapers thrived in Texas and El Paso was because of all of these things that we've written here. Okay. Next question. Number 8. Chile's Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth. Mary Beth Willem and other astrobiologists search for life or its remains in this harsh place because the desert closely mirrors extreme environment on Mars. The algae and bacteria found in Atacama's driest regions may offer clues about Martian life. By studying how these and other microorganisms survive such extreme conditions on Earth, Willem's team hopes to determine whether similar life might have existed on Mars and to develop the best tools to look for evidence of it. Super dry. Atacama Desert, driest. One of driest. Astrobiologists search for life because close in, let's write similar environment to Mars. Hope to find out whether similar, I'll write neater, life might have existed on Earth. Oh, Mars. And make tools to find evidence. Okay, there is our summary. Okay, which choice best describes the function of the underline? So this one here is the underlined part. A, to contrast the conditions in the Atacama Desert with those on Mars. Did they even mention the conditions, the actual conditions, and is it a contrast? So the answer is no. B, to explain why many life forms cannot survive in the Atacama Desert. That is not an explanation. What they said is that they're searching or they're studying the Atacama Desert because it's very similar to Mars. So no. To indicate why astrobiologists choose to conduct research. That sounds fine. That's definitely a maybe. And D, to describe certain limitations to conducting scientific research or study in the Atacama Desert is incorrect. They did not mention any limitations. Our answer is C. They study or choose to conduct research in the desert because it is similar to Mars's environment. Like that. Number 9. More than 60% of journeys in Mexico City occur via public transport. But simply reproducing a feature of the city's transit system, its low fares, is unlikely to induce a significant increase in another city's transit ridership. As Eric have shown, transportation mode choice in urban areas of Mexico is the product of a complex mix of factors including population density, the spatial distribution of jobs, and demographic characteristics of individuals. System features do affect ridership, of course, but there is an irreducibly contextual dimension of transportation mode choice. Okay, so 60% in, and then we'll do actually over in Mexico City is public transit, not transport. Public transit. Okay. But unlikely to induce in another city. It's a product of complex mix of factors. So the product is going to be, the ridership is a product of ridership of public transit. System features do affect ridership, of course, but there is an irreducibly contextual dimension. Underlined is going to be, same thing, irreducibly contextual, like that. Okay. A, it presents an objection to the argument of Guerra et al. About transportation mode choice in urban areas of Mexico. So they're actually agreeing with it, right? Product of complex mix of factors. It is irreducibly contextual, so it's not going to be an objection. We can delete A. It explains why it is challenging to influence transit ridership solely by altering characteristics of a transit system is a definite maybe. Right? Because it said that it's irreducibly contextual. So that is going to be totally okay. We'll check that. C, it illustrates the claim that a characteristic associated with high transit ridership in Mexico City is not associated with high transit ridership elsewhere. Okay, so this is not an illustration of that. It's more statement, so we can delete. Substantiates the assertion that population density, blah, 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 are important factors. It did not say that. It just says it's irreducibly contextual. So that means that B is going to be our best answer. An explanation of why it is very difficult to kind of show that it's going to be very increased public transit ridership in other cities because it's just a complex mix of factors. Okay. And then I will see you guys in the next video.